Food banking began in the 1970s as a way to channel surplus food to charities involved in hunger relief. Over the years, food banks across the country realized that we serve an amazing role in the community. We impact millions of lives in a fundamental way by providing food where it is needed, and we help charities stay alive and thrive. Poverty is the primary driver for hunger. As long as poverty exists, there'll be a need for hunger relief efforts. Families with lower incomes must spend a disproportionate amount of their resources on food. In turn, that means they have to make choices between purchasing food or paying for other necessary expenses like rent, medicine, and transportation. It's an enormous problem, and it gets worse whenever our society has an increase in unemployment or underemployment. Houston Food Bank exists to distribute food to local charities that are providing essential food products to individuals and families living in poverty. Houston Food Bank is already a leader nationwide among food banks in distributing nutritious foods, and we want to get much better at it. Our current objective is to increase the amount of produce and other high nutrition foods we distribute. Houston Food Bank works primarily through a large network of partner charities. One of our goals is to help our agencies build their capacity to distribute food. The food bank is providing freezers and coolers so agencies can handle more perishable foods. We also take trucks loaded with food into their neighborhoods for special food distribution events. Another key objective is to eliminate child hunger. We have programs that supplement government-funded efforts such as school breakfasts and lunches, and summer meal programs. Our Backpack Buddy program gets especially enthusiastic community support. It works through schools to provide hungry kids with a sack of food for the weekend. Finally, food banks can connect people to important resources. Our social service outreach program helps people enroll in SNAP, or food stamps, and state-funded services. We're encouraging our partner agencies to offer social services while they're distributing food, like health screenings, job training, and education. The economic value of food distributed by Houston Food Bank is well over $100 million per year. That's more than the value of any charity in the community. We do this by leveraging our partnerships with 500 hunger relief charities. This network is a massive collaboration of agencies working across 18 counties in southeast Texas. Through these agencies, the food bank can leverage food to connect people in poverty with social services. We're encouraging our agencies to complement their food distribution with other services that people in poverty need. Food banks mobilize the community to take action against hunger. Tens of thousands of people volunteer at the Houston Food Bank. Companies and community organizations hold food drives, and others contact their elected officials to advocate for hunger relief policy and funding. And we're fortunate to have a board of directors made up of influential individuals who can help us access resources. Food banks may be the nation's best system for multiplying the value of a donation. The Houston Food Bank is effective because we can leverage $1 to provide $6 of food value. A $1 donation provides a full day of meals for a hungry individual. Another reason we're so effective is that thousands of volunteers keep our labor costs down. Our volunteers are extremely productive. They sort, process, and package food and help us in many other ways. We literally cannot function without them. We are effective because we stay connected to the community through partnerships and collaboration. The Serving for Success program is one example. Through this program, we train individuals from the criminal justice system in warehouse operations. At the same time, those participants also supplement our staff. The result is that we can get more food into the community with less overhead. And the participants use their training to get jobs, which means that fewer of them go back to jail. When you're dealing with hunger relief, there are many ways to measure success. As a food bank, we look at hunger relief on a massive scale. How many millions of pounds of nutritious food did we distribute this year? How many thousands of people did we feed? How efficiently did we use the resources that were entrusted to us? Houston Food Bank tracks nearly every aspect of our activities across the entire organization. One specific measure that is common to use at all food banks is the number of pounds of food provided per person living in poverty by county. That helps us monitor how equitably we're distributing food within our geographic service area. Our food bank wants to go a step further and look at how many nutritious meals we're providing, not just raw pounds of food distributed. When people think about food banks, they usually associate them with hunger relief. But not everyone understands that we're kind of wholesaler of food to other charities. We don't distribute food to individuals. That's the mission of our partner agencies. Houston Food Bank does have an emergency pantry in our new facility that serves low-income working families, but it's operated by a partner agency. Most food banks have to dispel myths about the people we serve. One of the most enduring myths is that people who need food assistance are lazy and shiftless. That's not true. About half the families served through partner agencies of the Houston Food Banks are members of the working poor. They're trying to make ends meet, but still can't earn enough money to buy enough food. Another assumption is that most of us don't know anyone who has needed help from a food pantry, but many of us know someone who has been out of work for a long period of time. We have friends who have fallen on difficult economic times. The reality is that the person in line at the food pantry could be your neighbor. The most dramatic accomplishment for Houston Food Bank was our move to a new facility. Our new home transforms the way we work in the community. This warehouse facility is more than 4 times larger than the previous one. It allows us to grow in the right ways. We have much more cold storage space so we can distribute more produce and other healthy perishables. We designed the new facility to sustain growth over time. We have a sizable volunteer work area that can handle up to 1,000 volunteers at one time. They help us keep our labor costs down while we process food that would otherwise be thrown away. Another major accomplishment is the Serving for Success program. We work with the state and local criminal justice system to recruit prisoners and probationers who volunteer in the warehouse. In return, they receive training that can help them get jobs. Participants in the program are more likely to get a job and stay out of trouble, which is a real win for the community. Food inflation is one of our major vulnerabilities. It affects us in multiple ways. When the cost of food goes up, it means poor people have a harder time buying it. As a result, they need more help from our partner hunger relief charities. In turn, that creates a higher demand for more products from the food bank. Economic factors also affect access to certain types of food. For example, when corn prices go up, cereal donations may go down as a result, and we don't get as much commodity food from the U.S. Department of Agriculture. Another vulnerability is that we're truly dependent upon volunteers. If we don't get enough of them, it has a direct impact on our ability to process food. An ongoing challenge for our partner agencies is their ability to handle a sufficient flow of food. They may not have the capacity to serve the number of people who need help in their neighborhoods. With additional resources, we want to distribute more fresh fruit and vegetables. One of our key goals for growth is to increase the amount of nutritious food we distribute. Fresh produce is out of reach for many people living in poverty. It's expensive, and it's not always accessible in low-income neighborhood grocery stores. That's just one factor in the epidemic of obesity among people living in poverty. High-calorie food is cheaper and easier to obtain. Additional resources would defray our transportation costs. We operate a large fleet of trucks, and it takes a lot of money to keep them running. We also want to channel resources to our partner agencies. Many hunger relief charities run on shoestring budgets. As a result, they have a limited ability to distribute more food. The need for food assistance will continue to grow in years to come. We have to find ways to do more. We like to find ways to pair hunger relief with other services that can help people get out of poverty. Currently, this is a gap in services that Houston Food Bank wants to fill. We believe food banks should retain our primary role as the largest source of food for hunger relief agencies, but we can also encourage our partner agencies to find creative ways to leverage food distribution. For example, they could provide health screenings or literacy classes. Another growth area for Houston Food Bank would be an increase in non-food distribution, things like office supplies or building materials. It would be a good way for us to help our partner agencies contain their own overhead.